Bob, we are on the opposite side of the building from where Rob Wells is standing. You can see the sheer response of Truro Township and Columbus Fire out here tonight. Also, quite a number of people who live here are standing outside. Witnesses are telling me that the electricity and the gas has been shut off. And if my photographer spins around to this other direction, you can see all of this glass that is on the side of this building here. This is Newborn Ministries church building. Their windows were blown out after a series of explosions here. Yolanda, he is super excited about being back here in Columbus, and fans are too. This woman, this is her 4th time.
So excited.
You're very excited?
Yes.
Your favorite song?
The Dance.
All right. I tried to get her to sing it, but I put her on the spot. Tonight's concert, it is her birthday. Happy birthday. Yes. Tonight's concert starts at 7. You can see all the people waiting to get in. Jessica, Nicole Bland was using a tie-out like the one I have here for my dog so she could let her dog play in the front yard. Well, just like that, someone stole her dog, leash and all, but 4 years later, her dog is back in her arms tonight. Mom, 13-year-old Brandon Kitsos and 84-year-old Betty Hoflich have become fast friends in Fredericktown. Although she likes to refer to him as her savior, he delivers the Mount Vernon newspaper after school. She just so happened to be his first stop the day she needed rescue.
How many breaks?
In one sense, Brandon Kitsos is your average teen. He likes riding his bike, movies, and America's favorite pastime.
I always wanted to be a professional baseball player.
He started delivering papers on Groundhog Day, making drops after school for a little cash.
Yeah, I get half and I spend half.
His route brings him to Betty Hoflich's house. On his first stop, the day she needed him more than the day's headlines, there was snow on the ground, and so was Betty.
I thought it was like a kid like playing in the snow. But I went like a little more forward and I saw a face.
Brandon threw down his bike so hard, he snapped a brake line, out of breath but not in a panic.
I just sat next to her and I was trying to call her son.
Betty broke her elbow. She remembers taking a spill while dragging her empty trash bin up to her house.
I didn't realize it was slippery. And so I got that far and I fell.
She wasn't on the ground 5 minutes before Brandon rolled up.
He took over like a professional. I couldn't believe it, but he is the man of the hour.
After a hospital stay, the two meet again, a teddy bear and get well card echoing what he feels in his heart.
It says, "I'm so glad I saw you. I hope you heal fast."
Brandon is more than your average teen to Betty.
He's both angel and hero. I never seen a little boy take over like he did and help me.
Right place, right time, and a home run in life.
I mean, it was a life lesson.
One that Brandon hopes others will take away from all his attention.
I mean, if that was my grandma, I'd be grateful that somebody would stop and help her.
Now, Betty has 2 plates in her elbow, but says she's expected to make a full recovery. Brandon made sure she had his phone number in case she ever needed his help. Again, Yolanda. Yolanda, there wasn't a dry eye tonight in Millersport. One sister was given up for adoption. The other was raised mostly by her grandparents. The secret their mom took to her grave is now out, and the catching up has just begun. Stepping off a plane at Port Columbus isn't unusual for Mary Rush.
It just came out of the blue, and for them to be like this excited over it, for something they didn't know anything about, was just, yeah, amazing.
Her daughter, Leah, lives here.
Hi, Mom.
What makes this trip extraordinary, an older sister she never knew she had does too.
I never thought we would be making this trip for this reason. So excited, happy, and feel so, so grateful.
The same excitement is felt in Millersport by Leanne Snyder.
I am a big sister.
3 weeks ago, Rush's daughter, Leah, called her with the hard-to-believe news.
I was pretty sure that I knew my history. Wrong.
Leanne would have been 5 years old when Mary was born. Mary was given up for adoption. Their mother kept it a secret.
70 years is a long time. 70 years we have to catch up on. I don't know how we do that.
Their first meeting now only seconds away.
Heading your way. See you soon.
As Leanne and Mary,
I can't believe she's here.
close the gap on 70 years.
What a story we have.
Tear-filled laughter and many, many questions.
Do we look alike? I don't know.
The two sit on Leanne's sun porch, catching up, flipping through a lifetime of memories and getting acquainted with a new family.
We have so many pictures to show you of your mom.
Mary always felt she had a sibling. She had her original birth certificate for 2 decades, but misread it.
All these years we thought I was the first birth. No, there was one before me.
The start of a new chapter.
I just can't believe I'm sitting here.
For 2 sisters making up for lost time.
I'm so anxious to see where our lives are alike and different, and it's going to be exciting to talk.
And it turns out, as you can see on the couch there, Mary also has a half-brother. He was sitting there with her, now getting acquainted with her tonight. The 3 will be visiting each other over the next couple of weeks.
I was going to say, he looks like he could be one of the siblings
they
as
have
well.
The same mother.
Well, isn't that something?
Wow. After all this time, well, great that they got to, realize this and spend some time, you know.
Did you notice some similarities?
I noticed that it seems like their eyes and their smiles, and they were all talking about how they both had thick hair.
And Bob thinks their voices sound a lot alike.
And they also seem to have the same sense of humor, too.
Oh, good.
That's something. All right. Great story.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tara.
Yep. Yolanda, this is the first time we're hearing a behind-the-scenes account from the medical director. He says it was all hands on deck, and at first they didn't know what was going to walk through those ER doors. He says they plan and train for anything, and he says it showed.
We staged the area, so the doors were open. And we're waiting for these guys, and really, I'm standing here waiting for the EMS guys.
There may well still be an active shooter unaccounted for.
It's like a switch flipped for Dr. Eric Adkins and his colleagues when Monday's active shooter Buckeye alert came through.
One of the things that did go through my head initially was, is this going to be potentially an Orlando style event?
A code yellow disaster, hospital resources diverted to help people during their darkest hour. The number of victims stacked up quickly.
Initially it was 2, and then you hear it's going to be 4, and then we got to a point at which it was somewhere in that 8 to 12 range.
As did fellow staff members. Many lined the emergency room hallways to begin triage.
It was a little bit of almost like an anxious calm.
Paramedic Devin Shackle coordinated medics pulling up to the emergency room doors.
In that situation, we had to figure out if he was most serious and not serious. We had to place him in the right spot.
Dr. Adkins says they opened trauma rooms for the worst of the worst. They ended up treating knife wounds and those hurt after being hit by the attacker's car.
The gunshot, though, was the heroic measures of the campus officer who, honestly, if he hadn't done what he had done, who knows?
Dr. Atkins says his colleagues knew exactly what to do and did it together as a team. Days later, still thanking people for bringing their A game.
I've been here 25 years, been a nurse for almost 40, and it's one of the best days I've ever seen.
And praising unsung heroes.
This isn't about just the docs. It's not just about the nurses. This is about the environmental services people who are ready to clean rooms that fast if we need to.
It wasn't until this husband and father of 3 returned home later Monday night when the magnitude of the day soaked in.
Everything worked the way it was supposed to, and nobody died.
Samantha Bennett found her passion when she had nothing but time to heal.
I remember drawing in the hospital.
Her body became a canvas for a deadly disease.
My fingertips were just falling off. Like my skin turned black, and then as it creeped up, creeped kind of from the inside out.
Samantha is known as a medical miracle. She survived bacterial meningitis after being diagnosed at just 9 months old.
I think that they just thought I was a baby with a fever, and I had flu-like symptoms.
A disease difficult to diagnose in the early stages, says Dennis Cunningham, a pediatric infectious disease doctor.
Not only is this a scary disease that can kill people, and it moves so quickly, you literally can see the rash evolving.
Dr. Cunningham calls the meningococcal vaccine a safety net, one required in Ohio and other states for school-age children.
And it's so important to vaccinate kids at this age because really your later years in high school and your first year at colleges, especially if you live in a dorm, those are high-risk times for this meningococcal meningitis.
Samantha embraced her scars to connect meningitis awareness and her artwork. Later in life, she experienced a different loss.
And at 34 weeks, our son Jonas was born by an emergency C-section, and he survived for 2 days.
Butterflies she saw on doors in the maternity ward signaled a grieving mother.
I wanted to paint butterflies for women so they would have just a place for healing.
A talent that blossomed.
The New York one took a lot of concentration.
Into cityscapes and sunflower fields.
Until, after I had my own children, I kind of started to realize that I could speak out and help other people.
Her body no longer a canvas, but an instrument to beautify the world.
Do I wish that I could have gotten to this point without as much pain that I've been through? Yeah. Do I wish that I could have had my little boys without having to know the sadness that a mother can feel if she's lost a baby? Yeah, I do, but I think everything happens as it's supposed to.
Sometimes the hardest thing is saying goodbye.
This is my dad and my mom. Dad had lung cancer, Aunt Mary congestive heart failure, and Mother had Alzheimer's.
Joni Atkins helped care for all three while in hospice at the same time.
It was overwhelming initially because I didn't know how long we'd have them and the requirements of each one.
Many people struggle with the decision.
The most common misperception I see, it's a choice to give up.
Dr. Charles Von Gunton says it's a team approach that mostly happens in the comforts of home.
Doctors, nurses, social workers, all can come to a patient's home and meet their medical needs there.
Hospice can be for people hours old to over 100.
Only 10% of Americans will die of a sudden illness. In fact, 90% of us will die of a disease of which we know the name, and it will extend over years.
Dr. Von Gunton says loved ones should talk about their wants and desires.
What's important to you? When do you want comfort to be the major focus?
It became clear for Joni during her father's final checkup.
I saw how it hurt him to get up on the examining table.
She soon realized the experience was something more meaningful.
Hospice was the best word for unconditional love this side of heaven.
The day-to-day care was hands-on and different for each relative.
I needed to learn how to lift my mother out of a chair properly so that it wouldn't hurt my back and it would be easy for her.
Joni is left with good memories of the life she gave her father, aunt, and mother before each passed on.
It gave me the opportunity to have their remaining years, days, months, lived with dignity and grace and a tremendous amount of love.
Yolanda, the building here on West California Avenue is partially boarded up to keep looters out. The owner says investigators found a gun found in debris from the suspect's apartment. Now, we did a walkthrough of apartment 14 where Lincoln Rutledge allegedly held SWAT at bay for hours. Crossing a threshold into a dark time for Columbus police.
This is where this is where the shootout occurred, part of it.
Rob Martin escorts us through what's left of apartment 14 on West California Avenue.
Tools and whatnot.
What was the home of SWAT shooting suspect Lincoln Rutledge.
The tenant started barricading the unit by pushing all his belongings up toward the window.
His bathroom seemingly untouched by fire that ate away at the building.
He was hiding in this cast iron tub.
The glass block window gone, Martin says, in a flash.
They used a C4 to blow this out from the outside.
Martin says before investigators released the property back to him, they uncovered key evidence in the rubble.
There's a pile of debris over there, and then they came across the gun and other shell casings.
Did you see it?
Yes.
What did it look like?
It was black. It was a little black pistol.
Martin says Rutledge rented the space last November while separating from his wife.
He was quiet and paid his rent on time. Now, he wasn't a tenant for very long.
He says there were no red flags.
Just like not even believable.
That opened the door to a path of destruction and the death of a beloved veteran Columbus officer.
Sometimes you just don't get the full story, I suppose.